Hi, I'm Greg Hunter. This is the weekly news wrap up for June 15th, the WNW 339. I'm really basically only going to be talking about three stories. Yes, I know there's way more out there, but I want to talk about this Inspector General's report that just came out. I want to talk about the North Korea summit and how it was covered by the mainstream media. And then I want to talk about the economy. Some say it's good, some say it's bad. I want to give you my take on what's going on with that. But let's start with this the IG report, the Inspector General report by Michael Horowitz. IG report, Strzok vowed we would stop Trump from becoming president. It was actually his girlfriend, Lisa Page, said, oh, no, he's got to become president. No, he won't. We'll stop him. But anyway, I just wanted to go on here, and some of the highlights, reputation of Comey, along with leaders at FBI, destroyed. You can't have a Mueller investigation that's going to look at obstruction when the IG report says that James Comey did a lot of stuff wrong at the FBI, including insubordination. So, there was a total case here made to fire James Comey. Now, this report is not the end-all, be-all. It is really just a fraction of the 1.2 million pages. It's 560 or 70 pages. It's a small fraction of a percent of the actual report. Now, I know that Dave Janda said that the report would come out redacted. I called him on this today, no redactions. And he says, my sources say what was going to be redacted was left out. And there will be other addendums and other reports, like one that talks about that Hillary Clinton actually really did commit crimes. And I actually listened to Greg Jarrett, who's got a book coming out, who saw the Inspector General report, saw it all, and says that the report shows that she committed crimes. And that's obvious. I mean, she took hammers to devices, told people to do that. She obstructed justice. She had an unsecured a server, totally unsecure. Again, my take, she had an unsecured private server to hide the fact she was taking treasonous bribes to a global charity fraud called the Clinton Foundation. All that's going to be up for grabs, folks. A lot of people say, oh, the IG report's a big nothing burger. No, it's the beginning. I'll tell you, I've been thinking about the security on this server, which was so poor, as Jim Sinclair says, it was too stupid to be stupid. One of the things that came out in the report was, yes, foreign countries did get all the information on her servers. That's special access programs, that's top secret information, classified, you name it. She committed crimes. Period. The end. She was grossly negligent, and I wonder if she was so grossly negligent that this was part of the bribes and payoffs, that, I'll just leave my server completely unprotected. I mean, if you found it, you got into it. It was like if you found the front door of a house with an old screen door and nothing else and opened it up, that's what you got. So, and I want to just go on about this, and this is a process. This is the beginning. And yes, I know he said that there wasn't any politics or there wasn't any evidence of what they did with, that interfere with the political outcome. Obviously, Trump became president, but there were politics involved in political bias. I mean, Joe DeGenova and others have framed this so well, and Greg Jarrett, where they were trying to frame Donald Trump. This tweet here where Mr. Peter Strzok said we would stop Trump, okay? 8 days after that, he had a counterintelligence investigation started. That's what he did at the FBI. He was the top counterintelligence guy at the FBI. So, 8 days after that, you have basically a bogus counterintelligence operation to plant evidence to make it look like Trump's colluding with the Russians, when indeed he was not. So, you go on, some of my thoughts that, this people are going to be destroyed. I mean, I know it's said in here that, Loretta Lynch, he got around Loretta Lynch, but she's going to be destroyed in this. I mean, she had the tarmac meeting. The IG report will hatch multiple felony prosecutions to go along with the ones already underway. This is a process and not an event. There's more fireworks coming out, and this is going to, raise tons more questions. The Inspector General will be out next week in front of Congress. After that, Rob Rosenstein is going to testify in front of Congress. William Wray, the new, no, not so new, but basically the new FBI director is going to testify. They're going to want Strzok. You're going to subpoena him to bring him in to Congress. There's a gigantoid mess on multiple fronts for dozens of people coming down the road. And this is like a big giant apple. And you can't stick the whole thing in your mouth. In journalism terms, they talked about writing a story. They don't try to do too much. Just take bites out of the apple. Well, they just took a big bite out of the apple. And there's going to be bites coming out of the apple. I know it's to the advantage of the Republicans to drag this out, but it has to be dragged out. It's so huge and mammoth and unbelievably big. I mean, there's another IG investigation on the phony FISA warrants, which Rob Rosenstein signed off and Comey signed off. They used phony intel paid for by Hillary Clinton to get a warrant to spy on Trump. I mean, it's unbelievable. The Clinton emails, that's going to come into big focus. The Clinton Foundation, which there's all kinds of reports about how that got stopped. The Anthony Weiner, stuff on the Anthony Weiner laptop, including some pretty tawdry videos, is what people say. Also, all kinds of classified information. Remember, he got 22 months for hi, look at my private parts, Anthony Weiner. And I wonder how he only got that. I mean, he rolled over on the Clintons. I think Huma Abedin rolled over on the Clintons. They the allegation by the IG was that the FBI covered up all the crimes of the Anthony Weiner laptop to help Hillary Clinton just before the election. Listen, these people, as I've said, committed treason. I think they definitely violated the Espionage Act. And I keep coming back to this central question. Why? And I actually talked to Jay Janda about this, and I said, why would all these people at the FBI and Department of Justice and the CIA, Brennan Clapper, all these people line up to commit one felony after another to save Hillary Clinton's bacon? And Janda told me, he says, well, they were paid off. I believe that. And I've said that. And they had control files on them. I mean, people like, James Comey had tons of money. He's a multimillionaire, James Comey. He was also working at HSBC when they got caught laundering money for drug cartels. So, some of these people I think were bought off. Some of these people had control files on them, blackmail stuff they did against them and said, you'll do this, or otherwise we'll release this and it'll wreck your life. This is a huge, massive, unbelievable, unlike anything that's ever happened in American history. Actually, global history. This is huge. I mean, how in the world did they get the British to spy on Donald Trump? That came out. That's another thing. It's just unbelievable. Really unbelievable. So the whole IG thing, don't look at it as the end all be all. Other stuff's going to be released down the road. This other things, other addendums about Hillary Clinton's emails, other investigations, criminal charges, all that's coming now, man. The gates are open. Get some popcorn and buckle up. Here you have my local newspaper with it, which is, and I'm showing this because meet and greet or meaningful, legitimate. That's a legitimate headline. This is actually a Washington Post story. They actually did it the day before the big, and this is historic, an historic meeting that's never happened between the leader of North Korea and, of course, Donald J. Trump, the leader of America. And you heard Dave Janda talk about how all this stuff is tied up with trade deals, it's chess on a 4D level. China being, they just put another $50 billion, or getting ready to put $50 billion of tariffs on China, which may start a trade war. But then again, maybe it's just negotiation. The things that are going on, and I want to talk about this in the economy section of this, going on are unparalleled again in history. This is a historic meeting, and yet the day the meeting happens, which they should have, had this. Here's USA Today: churches struggle how to confront racism. That's the front of Tiger Beater. I actually called USA Today and registered a complaint video by voicemail and said I didn't know I was buying Tiger Beat. Now they do have a story on page 3. This is the only place they covered it. I'm a regular subscriber to the newspaper. They didn't cover it. Singapore proudly bask in spotlight. That's a great headline. Yeah, that's what this is all about. Singapore basking in the spotlight. And then the only other story was at summit, president pursues real deal. That should have been in the front. And the next day they were talking about how it was buried, of course. It was a historic summit. And either the media didn't cover it like, the nation's news, a.k.a. Tiger Beat. They didn't cover it prominently like it was a huge historic event, which it was. People don't realize that the war never really ended. We had a truce with North Korea. I mean, here we got 40,000 troops in and around North Korea. We've got submarines. We've got, obviously, nuclear weapons on submarines, aircraft carriers. We got major assets over there, in and out of there all the time. And including roughly around 40,000 troops, as many as 40,000 troops over. That's a big expense. Now, this is a process also. But make no mistake, folks, Donald Trump got Kim Jong-un to sign a document saying we're going to work at denuclearizing the North Korean peninsula. That is stunning. That's a process, and could he cheat and do this other stuff? Sure, yes, he could. Sure, he could. But nobody's gotten not even close to that. I mean, he's a country mile ahead of anybody, unbelievably. And it didn't cost us, billions and billions of dollars and only have him cheat us later. Yes, do a lot of details have to be worked out? Yes. Did he basically, in part, legitimize a ruthless leader? Yes, but that's the leader they got. That's who we have to work with. That's who has the news. Could Kim Jong-un cheat? He sure could, but I think Trump's going to trust and verify, as Ronald Reagan said. So this is a massive deal. I mean, ever since I was born, we've been at war with North Korea. Seriously. I mean, the war never ended. We had an armistice. We had a ceasefire. There's no peace deal. He may actually get a peace deal and denuclearize them as well. And could that bring democracy there? Yes. Could it make their lives better? Yes. And yes, I know there's a couple 100,000 political prisoners there. They do ruthless things. They murder people. Yes, I understand that, but you got to start somewhere. And this was a good start. And it was a huge deal, and yet the media covered it like it was or didn't cover it at all, or lied by omission, or made it out like he was propping up a dictator. Listen, it's a huge deal. But they did have time, the USA Today, they didn't put it on the front page, but on the front page of their life section, they've got Robert De Niro basically saying F you to the president. And, Tony, marquee moments. The marquee moment was this actor who thinks he's a gangster is basically cursing out the president on stage, and they call that a marquee moment on USA Today, a.k.a. Tiger Beat. They call that a marquee moment. I mean, somebody should tell Robert De Niro, Bobby, you're an actor. You just play tough guys in the movies. You're not really a gangster. I mean, but that's how they had plenty of time to cover the marquee moments. The other thing that the media did with the G7, and what Trump is trying to do, listen, we have a lot of debt. Trump is trying to bring as many jobs and ramp up as much economy and bring back as much money with the repatriation and ramp up jobs like in the oil sector where they're drilling in Anwar and Gull Island and other places. And he's trying to do as much as he can to start rev up the income-producing machines of America. That includes manufacturing. And, you saw this picture, and I didn't cover this right here. It's, Merkel, leaning over the desk over at Trump, and he's got his arms folded. But, a few minutes before or after, you didn't see this picture. This is Cheryl Atkinson sent this out in a tweet. But they want you to think everybody hates Donald Trump. And maybe they do because he's asking them for the reciprocal trade deals. If you're going to have tariffs, we're going to have them. If you're not going to have them, we're not going to have them. But, this was taken just a few minutes before or after. That's how the media lies. This is a visual lie. Unless they say there were tense moments and some happy ones too. That's fair. And, again, I'll bring this up because I didn't bring it up. I brought it up in the Dave Janda interview, but here we have the G7 up there. Did anybody bring up the Iran nuclear deal? And you heard all the stories that if you break it, it'll start nuclear war. Anybody bring that up? The no signature Iran deal, the fraud. Dave Janda tells me that there were 5 C-130s flying cash into Tehran. No signatures and 5 C-130s of pallets of cash being flown in. Yeah. Yeah, no fraud there. And I don't hate Iran. What I hate was somebody lying to me that we have a deal and nobody signed it, and way more cash than they said happened, and it was a total big fraud, and the UK, Germany, and France were all in on the fraud because they didn't sign it either. And neither did the U.S. But here's Donald Trump's tweet over the media, and I'm telling you, he's killing the media. Excuse me. They're killing themselves. They're killing themselves. CNN is at all-time lows, and what do? They rehire Jeff Zucker till the year 2020. All-time low ratings, and you get a contract extension? Here's Donald Trump's tweet. So funny to watch the fake news, especially NBC and CNN. They are fighting hard to downplay the deal with North Korea, and they were. 500 days ago, they would have begged for this deal. Looked like war would break out. Our country's biggest, and this is important, folks, our country's biggest enemy is the fake news, so easily promulgated by fools. He's absolutely right about that. And listen, I work for CNN. What they're doing is off the charts. I mean, you can't even say, wow, the North Koreans signed an agreement, Kim Jong-un, and he may break it, but he signed an agreement that said he's going to work towards denuclearizing the Korean peninsula. That's not a big news story. They don't want to they don't want to help Donald Trump or the Republicans in midterm elections because things are better. And listen, the economy is not as good. I've been telling you this. It's not as good as people, think they are. And I'll get to the economy in just a minute. It's not as good as people think it is. And not as good as what Donald Trump says it is. Although it's better than what it would have been under Hillary, that's for sure. But CNN's response, and they're so stupid, this is Wolf Blitzer, they respond, we're not the enemy of the American people. Really, you're not? You lie by omission, you put up phony pictures, you miss a quote, you do stories. For example, CBS did a story about Sarah Sanders, the White House press secretary, leaving the White House, quitting her job. And, of course, they run this story, and they don't even bother calling over to the White House and, hey, listen, I'm Greg Hunter, and if I was doing this story, I'd say, listen, is Sarah Sanders, Sarah, you're all, oh, good. Hey, are you leaving the White, no, you're not? You're not leaving. Oh, well, this is not a story then. But no. CBS, the father of, the home place of Edward R. Murrow, who would be spinning in his grave like a top watching what was going on, they just run this story and then later go, oh, yeah. They wonder why they're being called fake news. They didn't even bother to call. I mean, that's standard reporter operating procedure. Before you run the story, check it out. Check your sources. And this was an easy one. You run a story that Sarah Sanders, the idea that Sarah Sanders is quitting the White House as press secretary, which is a big deal, and then you don't even bother calling over to see if it's true, just to ask her, because, she'd come to the phone for CBS. But anyway, I just want to get this in. CNN responds, we're not the enemy of the American people. Yes, you are, Wolf. Yes, you are. Chris Cuomo sat on your air and said, and I quote, we did about everything we could for Hillary Clinton. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. Do everything you can to get somebody elected. You're supposed to cover it fair and square, equally. Not, give out answers to questions with Hillary Clinton against Bernie Sanders, Donna Brazile. You're not there to plan against, and to try to make people look bad and make the Hillary look good and make the Republican Donald Trump look bad. You're not there for that. You're not the enemy of the American people. You surely don't think that you're journalists with a big J. Surely you don't think that you're being fair with Jim Acosta on your air. Surely you don't think that, do you? You don't think that. You can't think that. You're not fair. If you look up the textbook definition of propaganda, your picture's there. CNN. So I want to come up to the economy, and I want to come up to the Fed raising interest rates, and I'm going to start here. Okay. So Fed raises rates, says 2 more hikes in 2018 because the economy is doing fantastic. The way they spun this was Americans likely to see increase in bank savings. Okay, well, that's true. But it ramps up our debt and ramps up the cost of doing business and all that. And there is a lot of debt out there, and the higher the rates go, the more expensive that debt, actually costs. It costs money, and nobody knows more about that than emerging markets. Hugh Hendry came out with a quote saying, I would panic if I was an emerging market. Emerging markets massacred as dovish Draghi sends dollars soaring. So, Draghi's head of the ECB, and, he's basically talking about we're going to continue the free money policies. So we're going to cut it back a little. The dollar spikes, and emerging markets took out all this debt in dollars. And that's going to hurt them. And that could hurt the global economy. Also, we have, trade. Donald Trump is using the threat of tariffs more than any other president ever. And, I think he means it. I don't think he's bluffing. It doesn't do us any good to be the, quote, as he said, the piggy bank that everybody loves to rob. That's what he said. We're the piggy bank that everybody loves to rob. And that's going to stop. And think about that. If we do get a big reset, what he's trying to do as president and CEO is trying to get many jobs and as many ways to produce things for money and to expand our gross domestic product and expand our manufacturing, expand farming, expand oil production, expand everything you can, because it's awful hard for your currency to go away if you're saying, the world's number 1 or 2 producer of crude oil or natural gas or both. And so, the end of this G7, they blast him because they want the same great deal they've gotten in the past where America gets screwed. And, Trump blames Trudeau for a rancorous end to G7. He basically double-crossed Donald Trump after he got on the plane and headed off to make his deal with North Korea. But everybody's upset about this. The deal's ending. The fraud is ending. You had the fraud of the IMF, about the EU, and the France and Germany and the UK with the phony Iran deal. You have the fraud with China setting up shell companies, according to my friend and source Dave Janda, in Canada and Mexico. And then, people getting paid off so they can avoid tariffs to look like, Mexico and Canada, this in America, NAFTA, this one block, they send goods from north and south into America at little or no tariffs when they have a much higher tariff to send them in through the port of Los Angeles or Seattle or whatever. So, but that's ending. The piggy bank, robbing the piggy bank is ending. It has to end, especially if you look down the road that this reset, it's a debt reset. That's what's happening. We had 170 billion in global in global debt in the 2008 crisis. Did we cut that? Nope. We added another 70 trillion to it. So the debt problem we fixed with getting more debt. And there's going to be a limit. When is that limit? I don't know. I don't have any idea when the limit is. But the trade war and the negotiation tactics of Donald Trump are spooking people. Here's Christine Lagarde. Clouds over the global economy are darker by the day, and yet we're told by the Federal Reserve things are great. Unemployment's low, and that is true by today's standard. Unemployment is low. Small business is doing better. People are feeling better about the economy. It's at a just unbelievable good news that people feel that's happening. Things are better with Donald Trump. Don't get me wrong. I want Trump to succeed. I'm an American. I wanted Obama to succeed, but that's a whole other story. But I just will tell you this. There's this Christine Lagarde warned that the trade tensions are leading to clouds accumulating on the horizon of the global economy, which are getting darker by the day. The comments were made following the G7 summit, which ended with anger over trade tariffs. Yeah, they don't want the same great deal they have had. And the other thing is too is that with everything getting, America is going to be great again, and we're not going to be screwed anymore. That wasn't part of the globalist deal. The globalists wanted to trash America. They wanted America to be trashed, and that was their plan. They want to equalize everything out. The globalists, the Satanists. And then you have George Soros, who is he tipping things off? Everything has gone wrong, Soros warns. A major financial crisis is coming. This is Zero Hedge a few weeks ago. Everything's gone wrong. Major financial crisis is coming. Are they going to trash, wreck the economy just to make Donald Trump look bad? You have Bill Maher out there. Was he told to say this? I want to see the economy tank, so we can, destroy Donald Trump and kick him out of office. I don't know. There's some powerful forces going on with the repatriation of funds coming back to the United States and the trillions of dollars, the drilling of oil, the cutting of regulation. I don't want to sound like a commercial for Donald Trump, but those are things that do help the economy. It has been helped. And we heard that there's just 3.8% unemployment, but the numbers, as Donald Trump said in the campaign, are phony, and they're still phony, although they're better. Listen, in 2015 and 16, the unemployment rate was sticking around 23%. Sticking right there, according to John Williams of ShadowStats.com. But this is the headline from the EconomicCollapseBlog.com. This is Michael Snyder, who had an unsuccessful run for Congress, but, he got a nice percentage of the vote. The real economic numbers, 21% unemployment. That's if you did it, according to John Williams, the way they did it in 1994 and earlier in the Bureau of Labor Statistics. 10% inflation and negative economic growth. Now, this is, of course, the Economic Collapse blog and Michael Snyder. Unemployment falls to 3.8%, a new 18-year low, but it's not honest, according to him, and he's absolutely right. Shadowstats.com pegs it at 21.5%. Now, are more people working? Yes. Some of this might be because of the labor participation rate. The baby boom generation is retiring. I know people that are retiring. I'm not, but I know people who are retiring and leaving the labor force. I get that. But things aren't great. We would not. I was talking to Gregory Mannarino, who called it. He told me ahead of time they're going to raise rates a quarter point. And I thought, the economy isn't so great. I know, but they're going to raise rates. You watch. They're going to have to maintain their credibility. And sure enough, they did. They raised the Fed funds rate a quarter of a point. And he said, I don't know if they'll raise any. And I'm thinking, well, if they do raise it, they won't raise anything till it's December at the latest. Now, they're saying they're going to have 2 more rate rises, but I don't think they're not going to raise rates in September, right before November midterm elections. There's no way. There's just no way. Could there be a crash? And then could they turn around and stop all the rate rising and reverse course and start a new round of QE? Yeah, sure could. Could all this, the dollar rising, could the dollar rising and causing all these emerging markets, third world countries, could it cause them to, miss debt payments? Yes, it could. Deutsche Bank is in big trouble over in Germany, as well as many other banks over there. Commerzbank also is having big problems, along with Italian banks and banks in France. And, the banking system was never really fixed. This is according to John Williams. Could somebody zig when they should have zagged and we can have a black swan? Yes, we have a lot of debt out there. And on the other side of that, you have Donald Trump, bringing in money from abroad. Interest rates are staying low. They're going to try to hold rates down to borrow money, even though they're raising the Fed funds rate. The 10-year Treasury is still below roughly 3% on the 10-year Treasury. It says, Martin Armstrong said, America's the cleanest dirty shirt around. They're trying to ramp up manufacturing. That's what part of these trade wars are about. They're trying to ramp up oil drilling. They have done that already, got that through with the tax cut bill that also brought all this money back. So don't be comfortable that we're in the clear. We're not. And that's what I'm saying. Do I want Donald Trump to succeed? Yes. Do I want Americans to go back to work? Yes, I do. But, there's some also dark people out there. Christine Lagarde is talking about how they're, storm clouds are gathering. She's the head of the IMF. And also George Soros, who's no friend of the United States. And people in his home country, Hungary, hate him. and they think he's people in Czechoslovakia think he's quote evil. But could the globalists try to do something evil and crash the economy and try to make Donald Trump look bad? Yes, they could. So I just want you to be on guard. Yes, don't be fearful. That's what I always say every week. Don't be fearful, but don't hang yourself out either. Don't be so joyous that you're throwing caution to the wind. And that's where I'm going to leave it right here. Get your popcorn, boys and girls. This thing with the IG and the prosecutions are coming. Jeff Sessions hired more than 300 prosecutors, 313, I think to be exact. He hired a bunch of prosecutors. He's got a special prosecutor, not Michael Horowitz, but another prosecutor who is working on the case. He'll function as a special prosecutor. A lot of people are going to go to jail over this. A lot of people are going to roll over, turn state's evidence. People are going to be prosecuted. I think James Comey will be prosecuted. I think Hillary Clinton will be prosecuted if she lives. I think Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder. I think Barack Obama. I think a lot of people, James Clapper, Brennan, Strzok Page, McCabe, a lot of people are in big trouble, and this is gonna be a process. And so with that, I say to you, fear not. Oh, one last thing. I do have a section on the website, join, and as we move onward with YouTube and Google, there is some rumors out there that someday people like me will be taking it off of YouTube. I don't know that for a fact. That's what I've heard. Or they'll keep demonetizing. They did that with Dave Janda. They demonetized the first 30 or 40,000 views on the Dave Janda interview, which was a hit, and I'm going to put it out anyway because you need to know the information. But I want you to make sure you stay in contact with USAWatchdog.com. That's where they can't kick me off. We own that, USAWatchdog.com. And that's why if you look at the top part, the top black bar, the last thing says join. I don't sell my list. If you could please get in there and fill in your information, so if in the event that they do remove me from search or take me off of YouTube, or maybe they don't any of that, I hope they don't, but if they do, you'll be able to stay in contact. You'll be able to find me and put USAWatchdog.com in your favorites. I'd really rather all of you to go to USAWatchdog.com first and not YouTube, because I own USA Watchdog and not YouTube. But anyway, just make sure you do that. I want to also thank you all for your comments and your donations. I really appreciate you helping us. I had a bunch of thank yous for people that wrote in, used snail mail. Got that done today, thank goodness. But thank you for supporting USA Watchdogs with your comments and donations. I really appreciate that. And remember, fear not. I want you to be informed, not fearful. Fear not, prepare yourself mentally, physically, above all, spiritually. Fear not. God the Father and His Son, Jesus Christ, are firmly in control.